Hello, everybody! Welcome back to Galaxy Quest Lightspeed. We got
Welcome
another
back,
video for you
hello.
guys. Oh boy, this is all right. So this first one that we're starting with today is a pretty big one, actually. Let me see if I can just find it real quick.
I am very excited.
Oh shit. Okay.
I'm even more excited than I was for Ant-Man vs. Atom's premiere. That's saying something.
Oh
My God.
That's saying something. Wait.
That makes sense, but why are you saying that now?
Shut up.
Oh, it's near the fucking bottom. That's why I had so much struggle. Okay.
Yeah.
SCP Foundation versus Pokemon. That's what we got for us today. It's the world of SCP, a wonderful place full of world-ending anomalies. It's home to the SCP Foundation, a secret government organization that is hell-bent on keeping those anomalies out of the public's eye and secure, contain, and protect those anomalies. However, one particular day, a certain ghost-slaying triangle would because he killed Beetlejuice.
God damn it.
Would change everything! Dropping many adorably dangerous pocket monsters known as Pokemon around the globe. As panic erupts, the government has nothing more to do than let the Foundation do their work. They've got to catch them all or die trying. So, Brandon is obviously going for Pokemon, and GA, you're doing SCP?
Absolutely, I am.
Well then, you're starting this one. Why did the SCP catch all the Pokemon?
Yes. Okay. I am ready for this one. Okay. So, now, the scenario says that the SCP Foundation is like this secret government organization, but I feel like that's underselling it a bit because it is basically this shadow government force that like expands the entire globe and has connections to every single country on the planet. Like all of the countries cooperate with the SCP Foundation because otherwise, if the anomalies that the Foundation contains got out, then the world would just go straight to hell. So it's really important for anomalies like a mass outbreak of these weird species of dangerous creatures to be contained right away. So the Foundation would basically have the cooperation of the entire world in terms of containing all of these Pokemon. And I think that would be extremely easy for them to do because Pokemon literally exists in the universe of SCP Foundation even prior to these Pokemon appearing. Let me make sure that I have the right number. Yeah. So SCP-5254 is essentially like a mimetic effect that was applied to Pokemon Company merchandise, where when large groups of Pokemon fans gathered while wearing affected merchandise, they would literally be turned into Pokemon. Like humans would be turned into like literal Pokemon. Like if they got turned into Pikachu, they would be able to produce electricity. They get turned into Charizard. They become able to like shoot flames from their mouth. And like the entire point of that entry is that it ends with like the Pokemon Company starts to cooperate with SCP, but they're not able to contain it because they don't know how much merchandise was affected by this one person who started the entire thing. And so naturally, because of how prepared the SCP Foundation is for every single outcome when it comes to their anomalies, especially one that has as much of a potential reach as this, they would have like protocols in place to handle every single individual species of Pokemon, regardless of which one were to show up. Like from the most basic Route 1 fucking boring ass rat to like the creation trio itself. They would have a plan in place to deal with every single species of Pokemon, regardless of which one shows up. So they're already going to be going into this one with plenty of prior knowledge. And that is especially helpful because the number of like destructive and potentially useful anomalies that the Foundation has to them, like it is extremely useful, especially with their more coordinated global status compared to like just this random cluster of Pokemon appearing across the world. And the one I would say is the most important is SCP-914, which is the Clockworks, which is essentially just this machine that can kind of change like whatever you put into it depending on the setting you press. And like the especially important one to know about is when you change it to the fine setting, it can like upgrade something. Like if you put a gun into it, like in the article, it turns it into like this fucking plasma cannon that like wipes out people in one shot. So I think if the SCP Foundation put like a toy plastic Pokeball into SCP-914 and turned the setting to fine and activated it, they would get functioning Pokeballs that they could easily use on these Pokemon. So they can just have an infinite supply of like functioning Master Balls that would function perfectly without fail, regardless of which one they were to encounter. And in terms of like the Pokemon that are more difficult to encounter, like the ones that would be back in time, like the Hisuian ones or the fossils, or the ones that exist in like other dimensions like Giratina, like there are plenty of canons in the SCP Foundation, as well as just anomalies that they have contained that allow them to travel between dimensions and through time. So being able to acquire those harder to get ones would not be a challenge for them at all. And in terms of the ones that would just be on Earth, I mean, like you can just deploy so many different SCPs against them. Like just to run down a short list, 682, the hard to destroy reptile, you just drop them on like 90% of Pokemon and it just fucking kills them. And the Foundation would do this because they have a long and storied history of throwing 682 at whatever anomaly they think might take it out. So they have no problem recontaining it after it just fucking annihilates most of the Pokemon on the planet. And even then, like they have ones that can easily transmute them with one touch, like 217, the Clockwork Virus, or 409, the Magic Crystal. Funny, haha.
I gotta give you the Magic Crystal.
What those do is the Clockwork Virus transforms living organisms into like docile robotic versions, and the crystal transforms organic matter into like just immobile crystals. So that would make it extremely easy to contain a lot of those Pokemon. And like I can just keep going on and on and on, but yeah, the Foundation just has way too much to throw at all of the Pokemon for it to be any kind of issue, especially when they would have protocols in place for dealing with every single instance of every single Pokemon.
Okay. Jesus Christ! All right.
Yeah.
I said I was ready for this. I was ready.
Let's hear about them Pokemon.
All right. I want something just for clarification. When you send throwing anomalies at 682, is it within is 682 confined, or are they sending it out into the wild to hit?
682 cannot be confined when they're throwing most anomalies at it because its normal containment status is submerged in a vat of hydrochloric acid. So they have to take it out to throw it against most other anomalies.
I don't remember that. I remember when they'd always throw the anomalies in the cage.
Regardless, I'm going to talk about Pokemon right now. I'll get to that later. That was just my footnote from this. So, as of right now, there are classified 1,010 different Pokemon species. Now, I don't doubt that because of the long history of SCP Foundation, I don't doubt that they could capture the Pokemon if they got into encounter, arguably. There are some instances in the anime, such as Wishcast just eating a Master Ball, or generally the legendaries are going to be a lot more feisty than they are in the games, just letting the player catch them. But I just think finding these Pokemon is going to be the big issue, and if you do your homework, I'm willing to concede. I just need to see the receipts for a lot of these things, because there's some pretty varied and absurd Pokemon. I guess just to ramp up, like I guess we can do this like I wanted to do this like Milo versus Final Destination, where I just bring scenarios, except I have way more than what Max brought.
Okay.
Generally helping the cause is the Pokemon Alakazam, which is an IQ of 5,000 and can telegraph to all the Pokemon telekinetically that there's in another universe or that there's this distress. So if it's able to communicate that to the legendary Pokemon, it's going to be pretty tricky. They're going to have just as much knowledge as the SCP Foundation itself. Now, with what you said, I did write notes here about some just pretty basic dangerous Pokemon like Magcargo, who is as hot as the temperature of the sun, or Gardevoir, who can create black holes. But I don't think those two will be any problem for them naturally. Yeah, you have any instances for just strong ass Pokemon? I assume that's 682, right?
Yeah, most of like the more mundane Pokemon, 682 would just have no problem with, because its whole thing is just adapting to damage. Okay. So like with Pokemon's limited move pool, like shared across most species, it would just be able to like adapt to every move that gets thrown at it until no Pokemon can touch it, basically.
Okay.
Are you assuming that 682 is like at its peak already, or like at what point? Because I know that he hasn't beaten. There's some SCPs that he didn't initially beat, like when he got erased.
Like 173 and 096. I know that, but like even then, most Pokemon are just not going to be able to damage 682, and it's not even a case where 682 has to kill them. Like it can just wear them down until like a D class walks out with a Pokeball and just catches it. That's all it needs to do.
Okay, I'd like to ask actually. So if 682 kills a Pokemon, that doesn't count as a capture, right?
I mean, That's kind of
Yeah.
subjective depending on the scenario, but I would say that as far as the Foundation's containment procedures are concerned, they would classify that as like an anomaly contained or neutralized.
Because if a kill didn't count, then I would say 682 just should not be on the table. But if it can just be injured, then that should be fine.
I would
like,
say that you gotta
682
capture every Pokemon, but the fact that though the basic species, there's multiple of them, so that's fine.
Mhm.
I still got more on my list to go down. So, in Pokemon Journeys, there's an entire platoon called the Legendary Capture the Force. So these include some of the greatest trainers of all time, like Blue, Go, and Ash join this, and their whole job is to capture legendary Pokemon. Of which, the one that eludes them the most and one of the hardest to catch here canonically in universe is Mew, and this extends to its clone Mewtwo. They have the ability to transfer and rip out souls in people's bodies, read and wipe minds, travel between dimensions, and Mew just seldom shows itself to humanity. So I think those two are just a little trickier to catch. And I mean, you brought up that machine or SCP that can evolve things to their highest form. So I was gonna mention
914.
Pokemon with really difficult evolutions to attain naturally, like Melmetal, Golden Go, or Porygon Z. But that seems fair. I guess Porygon Z is an odd situation because it's a Porygon that got infected by a virus. So they'd have to, if they have some experience or SCP that deals with computer space, they could probably
They have so many SCPs that deal with like computer viruses and stuff, and like if a Porygon Z tried to infiltrate their databases, they could just deploy a mimetic kill agent against it that would just instantly wipe out its entire like cognitive
I also mean
processes.
evolving a Porygon into Porygon Z. They're gonna need do they have methods for dimensional travel to get the upgrade in the dubious disc?
I mean, yeah, I laid it out already. There's canons of the SCP Foundation where they just freely have like time travel and dimension traveling technology.
Mm-hmm. So time travel will get a lot of the fossil Pokemon, help them get Celebi or Dialga, help them get the Paradox Pokemon. Cresselia and Darkrai have the ability to enter dreams, induce nightmares, or an endless slumber. Do they have any methods for like getting into dreams?
Not off the top of my head, but they do have SCPs that also deal with sleep. So if they like I have one written down here. 966, the Sleep Killer. It's like this invisible demon that kind of stalks its enemies like while being invisible, and like it renders them unable to sleep until they're so debilitated that they just eat them.
Right.
So they have experience with those kinds of like enemies, at least.
Dimensional travel, I guess, sort of extends to Pokemon like Necrozma, Solgaleo, and Lunala, who can enter dimension like Ultra Space, that even the Aether Foundation, which I guess would be the most comparable thing to the SCP Foundation, we're not able to find naturally. And there's just Hoopa that could dump that likes to toy with Pokemon and dump them into other dimensions. But if they have ways to another dimension, that I feel like they can.
Yeah, that's not a problem for them.
Just randomly putting them in different worlds, but that could work. Same with the Distortion world, even though I guess being up against beings that control the concept of space, time, and then like life and death with Giratina, that would be pretty tricky.
It would. I mean, it's definitely nothing new for the Foundation. They deal with like deity level entities all the time. Literally, they have 343 is just God. Like he's just chilling in containment with them.
343 is God. Okay, well I was gonna say Arceus.
If it really comes down to it, like God is pretty chill with the Foundation. He would probably be willing to step in and handle Arceus.
Don't worry, guys.
All right. Last three again, because it seems like you've gotten them all the checks. Jirachi can grant wishes, which I suppose would help.
I wish there was no SCP Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is though, like I said before, this Pokemon outbreak, I don't think is a coordinated force. It's just a bunch of wild animals appearing across the globe. So would Jirachi's wishing ability really be able to like benefit the Pokemon at all? Like they're not operating as one force.
I think I guess with Alakazam, the legendaries would be more well aware, but I'd say Jirachi's a little too naive. It's like a baby. Also,
well, I mean,
I was gonna look into your SCP-5254 and see which Pokemon would be on the table for when that SCP was written. 2017, so Jirachi's covered.
Yeah, It's actually funny because 52 that SCP is like made to like canonically explain why Sword and Shield is such a terrible game is because the SCP Foundation sabotaged its development to downplay Pokemon's popularity to prevent more instances of that SCP from appearing.
What the fuck?
That is awesome.
Holy shit.
That is so cool.
Wait, which number was that?
That is 5254.
Okay,
I was going
I'm
to say,
looking up.
actually, there's never been a canonical incident where all Pokemon are together because of Nat Dex. That is sick.
That's funny. I like that.
I guess the last two, I switched the order around for this one. Ditto and Zoroark can transform into other people or other Pokemon, so they generally be kind of tricky. Ditto normally has to use the move Transform, and its transformations are often imperfect. But hidden ability Ditto has the funny name Imposter. So if they telegraphed Imposter Ditto to go against 682, that would be horrible. That would be very, very bad for everyone involved. There's two
This
of
is
them.
true, but then again, I like 682 would probably be more of like a last resort for the Foundation. They would use it, but it would only be like if they really, really needed to. And even then, like in terms of the SCPs that could like transform into something that could like possibly infiltrate the Foundation's ranks, they have SCP-208, which is like an Egyptian statue that has the passive ability to like ward off aggressive presences. So that would be able to like deter the Pokemon from entering. And even with like to touch on your point of Alakazam, like being able to coordinate with the different Pokemon, that would require Alakazam to know anything about the Foundation as well. And like the Foundation's entire purpose is to protect humanity from the shadows. Like nobody is supposed to know about them.
That's true.
And they also have resistances to psychic influences because some of the SCP members are defectors from the Sarkic cult, which deals with like manipulating the flesh and all of that. And one ability of that is like brain twisting, which is used in some SCPs to like render certain MTF task forces like resistant to like mimetic or psychic effects.
That's true. I was going to say Mewtwo could also probably read minds, but if they're that secretive, that's probably...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like regardless of how much like destruction is caused by like containing all of these Pokemon, the Foundation could just administer amnestics to the entire global population to make everyone forget that the Pokemon outbreak even happened.
And my final point on this, I guess I was back on the Ditto thing. Like, naturally, such a strong Pokemon, such a dangerous anomaly would probably be what they contain first. Like, Ditto is one of the ones they're going to want to get out of the way, get that species out of here.
Again, they theoretically could just amass an infinite supply of Master Balls.
Yeah. My last line on this document was, Victini has the ability Victory Star and canonically makes its side always win. But no, you did your homework. I think SCP Foundation.
Yeah!
Okay, yeah, that's SCP.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even cared if I lost that. I'm glad I just got to talk about SCP.
Literally, my
I
thing
love
was literally
SCP.
just, okay, if you did your homework, then yeah, you should win. That's fair.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Jesus Christ, GA.
How much fucking SCPs are there?
There's over 7,000 individual SCPs, as well as countless other like articles about stories and other events relating to existing SCPs.
And you've
Okay,
read
but can
all
they
of
catch
that.
missing though?
Not
Can they
all
catch
of them,
missing,
but I
though?
tried to like find the ones that would be most relevant to like the challenges Brandon would bring up.
See, 682, I think individually could solo if they can control it.
Yeah.
Because it has so much on its page that you can't edit their page anymore because the website cannot contain any more.
Yeah. And like, I didn't even get to all of the ones I had listed. Like 073 just rebounds all damage and kills plant life in its vicinity, so that just kills grass types. 1128 is like this fucking aquatic dinosaur monster that like, when it's described to somebody, when they enter water, it just teleports them to it and it eats them. And 606 is just this ball of light that can enter anything's mind and just overload it with information and kill it.
Oh no, those last two sound like really good counters for Mewtwo. Like he's reading minds, he learns about that
There's
one,
also
gets
one-
teleported underwater and just gets knocked. to
Yeah,
death.
I
like
want to bring up
even then, there is a like mimetic cognitohazard song that when it is played to anything, like it eventually makes like their brains leak out of their ears or something. So like if Groudon and Kyogre are starting to like destroy the planet, they just fly a drone over with a
he's
speeder
already
and
won!
kill them.
He's already dead.
One of the ones that I know of, I don't remember what the number was, but if they were having an issue like getting any of the baby Pokemon or whatever, there is one that's just like a guy in an office who is so boring that he
Baby
devolves
Pokemon?
things.
I haven't heard of that one, but that would be useful.
Like he
A guy in
devolves
the office who
62
what?
into a goldfish.
A
Okay.
guy in the office who does what?
He's so boring and mundane that he devolves things. Like he was put in a room with 62, and after a while 62 became a goldfish and then died, and then came back later.
We'll bring you on if we ever do an actual SCP
Yeah,
match.
I would love to
more
do
go
that.
to.
Please.
Yeah.
SCP's great.
Find a 682 versus Doomsday thing.
I would be so down.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm gonna cool off. You guys can go on.
Yeah,
Alright,
we're
yes. This is a lot more simple in comparison. Today, right now, we got Bruce Nolan from Bruce Almighty versus Michael Newman from Click. I've taken up Bruce, and Biff Weed is taking up Michael Newman.
Yeah.
So, let's hear the scenario real quick. When God decides to take a day off, he's having trouble on which of these two can do a better job at keeping the universe in balance. Who can prove themselves to be a better person to stop the universe from going into chaos? And my argument, this is literally the plot of Bruce Almighty as the scenario of this fucking fight. He does become God for more than just a single day. And while he did start to struggle towards the end, he was doing pretty good when things were started. If he literally is just doing it for one day, he's not really going to come across any issues here. Michael Newman was never a god. He has no experience in this situation. His movie is about a remote control that controls time, I'll have you know. He's going to fuck up things so fast. Remember how impulsive he is? Like, he fast-forwarded an entire month without thinking it through. Even when, like, he was told not to, he's like, I'm gonna fucking do it anyways to get that promotion. I really don't think Michael is mature enough for this role. Nor can he convince God that he's capable of doing this. Why would he even want to? This is literally fucking Bruce Almighty. I don't know why this was a scenario, but that's what we were given. Bruce Nolan.
Well, I think I can make quite a compelling case for Michael Newman. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So if the goal is like convincing on which of them would do better, or which of them would make better use of the powers, realize like Michael, when he got the remote, everything he did was either skipping a minor inconvenience or to try and directly benefit his family. So he clearly has like at least some degree of selfless motivation there. Whereas Bruce Almighty, I forgot if that's actually his name. I'm going to be honest. Bruce Nolan. I haven't seen the movie. However, I did. While you were discussing your fucking SCPs or whatever, I was doing some very in-depth research by reading the IMDb plot summary, and I'm just going to post a paragraph that caught my eye.
It's a great movie.
Is this the guy? Is this really the guy you wanna be making your case for? Read the.
Is this your man, Max?
Uh-oh.
What the? Bruce then decides to use his powers.
He basically just gave her the god version of a roofie. That's insane.
Yep.
Wait, what?
I
don't even recall this.
A series of incredibly powerful orgasms.
Oh right,
Like
that's with his wife. He started making
That's
himself
just
better
straight
in
up.
bed.
That sounds like just straight up sexual assault, man.
I didn't remember.
That is sexual coercion on a deific scale. That's insane.
Can we put this to a vote? Can we put this to a vote?
Oh, wait a minute! It's still becoming God.
Yeah, I don't want to vote for a sex
No, I
pest.
don't
My
want
vote is
to
for
vote for
Michael
this guy
Newman.
either.
technically speaking, like Bruce didn't succeed in what he did, and like he failed pretty miserably because he was very selfish.
How was Michael gonna succeed?
And this is
You're still arguing
this
for
is
the
important
sex.
because like,
You
this is
fucking
coming down to
slander.
God's judgment.
Yes.
Is God gonna pick a guy who used the powers of God
He
to make
literally
his
already
wife
picked
super
him.
horny?
He already picked him
Yes.
for this. It happened to him
Here's
the
the
last time.
I read this, like, he only picked him because he was actively cursing God out for making his life miserable. At least Michael didn't do that. He just kind of like, I want things to be better. He wasn't blaming God for it.
Also, like
Max,
with
if you
Michael-
fucking lose this.
also with
I'm being
Michael,
slandered here.
I'm sorry, Max. This is the freest L you've ever been given.
The plot is Bruce
How do you lose?
Unironically,
Freeze to do it for one
We
day.
went from one of the longest ones we've had on Lightspeed to one of the shortest.
I'm just like unironically thinking about it. The only reason that his life went so bad was because he didn't really have that much control with that remote's power. Like that was automatic. Here he's going to have a lot more control. It's not going to just
Michael is going to
initially.
be given the role of God. He has to answer all the prayers. He has to fucking
Better than
keep
this
everything
creep. Better than this
Max,
loser.
you've already lost. You don't need to keep arguing.
Yeah, no, not if we win.
It's literally
Holy-
God.
Holy shit, Max.
Boy, if I had a nickel for every debate Biff settled by posting one image, I'd have 2 nickels.
Max, go back and rewatch this movie. If this did not happen at all, I'm gonna put text on the
No,
screen.
I remember.
Oh, you remember?
I
Okay,
remember
okay.
it. I remember it now.
Hold on.
I completely
I want
slipped my
to-
mind he did this in the movie.
I'm gonna say there's also the scene at the end of the near the end of the movie where she stopped loving him. So he tried to use his god powers to make her love
Didn't
him.
work.
Wow.
You can't fuck with your mind.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
overthrow
you're not
free will,
allowed
but
to,
he
but you
Yeah,
tried.
sorry, Timmy, that's against the rules.
Yeah. I can't believe I went into today's set of debates thinking like, oh, this one's gonna be the freest W of my life, and this one's gonna be the freest L of my life, and both of them were wrong.
I still don't see how Michael Newman is good as God, but Bruce Nolan has definitely lost the crowd.
Max, stop
Max, stop
debating
talking
this,
yourself into a
Max.
hole. Let's move on.
Holy
happened-
shit.
Max, as I see, when he was given power, he was a little more Bruce was a lot more selfish with it. So that's all it comes down to. Is
I
he
will
was
say,
more
yeah,
selfish
that's a
with-
good reasoning for it, and also just I guess this fucking.
If anything was it?
Well, but it's like it turns out he's a pretty sucky person. I didn't even realize that part. I just remember him being like just Jim Carrey.
Realize the reason that Michael's life sucked is because he was dedicating all his time working for his family.
Okay,
Yeah, he's a really
Newman
selfless
sweep.
guy.
Michael Newman sweep.
The goated click sweep.
Jesus
Love to see it.
Christ.
How did
Jesus
that-
Christ.
Nice job, Biff. You flipped that so.
That was you so easily.
So, I was dreading this, and then just scrolling this plot summary, I saw that paragraph. I'm like, oh no, I just
Yeah,
went.
you wouldn't have had the time to do that if I didn't go on an SCP rant, so you're welcome.
Well, I found it 5 minutes into the debate. But thank you anyway.
Oh God.
We appreciate the time, GA.
Yeah, thank you, G. It was interesting to listen to at the very least.
Okay, this next one we got today is Keroro versus Roger from American Dad. What if Keroro and Roger swapped families? Prologue. Ah yes, family. An unbreakable bond of both blood and mind. These two families, known as the Sniffs and the Hinatas, are your typical families. Just with one unusual member. The extraterrestrials. Roger Smith and Keroro. But what if we flip the script? Instead of Stan breaking Roger out of the CIA, and instead of Keroro landing in Tokyo, we swap their families. Which family can handle the chaoticness of their new Martian members? Let's see. And they've got a couple conditions that you guys gotta follow. So, Keroro is tagged along with the platoon, and Roger is tagged along with Rogu.
Roger!
Rogu!
What, the little fucking crinkly Roger?
Yeah. So if the families get completely fed up with the alien or die due to whatever the alien did, the other will win by default. If the CIA find out that their families are harboring the other alien will win by default. All life experience the families had with the original aliens are completely gone. The scenario will go on until one of the aliens either mess up their relationship with the family or get the family into trouble and they die. How they can win? If the alien can hold a longer-lasting relationship with the other's original Earth family and not get them killed before the other could, then they'll win. So Kero's first.
Okay. Forewarning, I haven't watched that much American Dad, but I am going for Keroro. I have seen a lot of Sergeant Frog, and I can say, for as lazy and sometimes annoying as Keroro is, he's not as bad as you might think to live with. for the most part, on a day-to-day basis, Keroro is actually an incredibly lazy invader who is perfectly content staying in his room, reading magazines, building Gundams, and eating junk food. He is very low maintenance, and he's also by far more useful in the household than Roger. The only reason that Keroro is able to stay in the household is because he's an exceptional cleaner. He can leave the house spotless, lickety-split. Meanwhile, Roger is an alcoholic mass murderer, if you look at the whole show. There are several points where Roger has just killed people. He relies on alcohol. He goes out in really shit disguises with a bunch of different personas. One time when they made... By the way, both of these characters really enjoy being comedians, but while Keroro will roll with the punches and accept when people don't laugh at his inexplicable need to constantly slip on banana peels when he sees them, Roger tried to kill his entire family when they didn't laugh at his jokes. So if he does that, he's going to kill all of them and get kicked out. And at that point, and because he doesn't have nearly as much to offer as Keroro does, he'll get kicked out, get discovered, and just die. So that's what I think will actually happen.
It'd be great if that happened.
Meanwhile, Keroro, the biggest obstacle is actually his platoon gradually showing up. Now Tamama and Dororo are not a problem. Tamama is just a suck-up to Keroro, that's all, really. And Dororo will leave and do his own thing. However, Kululu is very unhinged and makes a lot of shit that will cause problems. However, he's usually mediated by the other members of the platoon, and they usually sort out his problems on their own. The family don't usually have to get that involved. It's usually actually let me rephrase that. One member of the family choose to join in, and then another one gets really fucking pissed and tries to put an end to it. Meanwhile, with Stan being a government agent, with all of this shit going on, he's absolutely going to get involved, and eventually he's probably going to get killed.
No!
And that goes for most of the family in American Dad. I feel like the goldfish is eventually going to get into trouble, especially considering that being a fish, is constantly surrounded by water. If Keroro constantly hangs out with him and ever comes into contact with that water, he might go. He'll just become more and more efficient, because when Keroro gets wet, he becomes his peak self from back in his army days, and he'll be even more efficient at cleaning at that point, and his platoon will cause even fewer problems. For my final point, Keroro, at a point in the series, is shown to actually be a really good father figure to two younger platoon members. And as such, giving them, nice attention, helping them out when he needs to, being really loving, I think eventually he'll become part of the family. And considering it has 2 kids and a fish, I think he's actually going to be way more in his element than Roger, who constantly puts these young children into unfavorable, incredibly sexual situations. Like, the situations in American Dad involve Roger sleeping around with everyone, being alcoholic. He probably throws sexy parties. I don't know. He probably does that.
He's not Stewie.
Like, I just think that in general, the way that American Dad is set up, just as a world, means Roger is just going to cause so many more problems. And Roger, at the start of the series, had previously been captured by Area 51. He had to get broken out. But given that this is a scenario where he has just landed, and Area 51 have not caught him yet, I think it's very possible that he hasn't quite figured out the procedures needed to stay hidden yet. Meanwhile, Keroro has already been caught, so he's going to be even more precautious and put even more effort into his disguises and such. So, on the whole, I think Keroro definitely wins this.
Come on, Butter. Get that Roger argument.
All right. So I'm gonna call this out real quick because you thought you could slip it under the rug, Ribbit, about him getting when he gets too wet for too long. You know what happens, Ribbit. A certain alien space word comes and it takes the water out of him. So, if anything, I think that's actually a really bad thing because that's a giant alien shooting from space into the house. Like, that thing is not going to try and hide. That is just going to be very public about it. So, yes, I don't think that's a point for Keroro. I think that's a very big point against him. Now, starting with Roger, at his worst, he can be pretty dang awful. But generally through the show, he does seem to have a caring relationship to Steve. He does actually seem to at least care for him as a person, which given Fuyuki's fascination with aliens and Keroro not really treating him the best, yet he is still always by his side. I think Roger is going to be able to get along with him better. And if anything, I think he will treat him nicer, even if maybe at times his motives isn't always going to be the most pure. Now, as far with Keroro, I think that he has just way too much to initially get himself caught. Like, he started complaining about being hidden in his room for so long. Also, like, he could destroy the world. Like, the Keroro ball, the only reason that he was stopped was both a bit of his initial stupidity and also, well, him getting distracted. But he has so many plans that he could have actually just ended the world that only the family had stopped. If Keroro did this in the Stan family, Stan probably would not hesitate to kill him. If this, especially near the start, where they haven't had any sort of initial relationship that would make Stan hesitant to kill him, it's very likely that once the shenanigans are going to start, Keroro is going to get himself killed, or he's going to get himself kicked out of the house at minimum. Even if Keroro could handle even if the platoon could handle the family, they're not going to be allowed to live there anymore if they're just trying to blow up the planet with giant missiles or the Keroro ball. I think that Roger could last a while, and he could even play into the pity card for the family on his worst tendencies, because there's a canonical reason why he has to do this, which is if he's not a jerk, it actually starts to eat away at him, and he dies eventually. And this is something he could bring up and actually get pity on them, because Natsumi actually does take. I think Natsumi even would take pity on Roger, that like this is just something he has to do. He acts like a nice person, and then he's got to do this in order to survive. I don't think she could just sit there and watch him lay on the ground and die just because it's he has to act like a jerk on occasion and such. So I don't know how long he would last, because I know that his over the top nature may get him a little too far, but he has such a wide variety of costumes that seem to just work. Like, so much so that he tricked himself into thinking he was actually that person at one point, or he just developed two personalities.
Okay, so do you know what comes along with each of those costumes, Butter? Different personalities, right? Yeah? You do know that one of those personalities is Ricky Spanish, right? The lying, thieving psychopath.
No, it's not Ricky Spanish, it's Ricky Spanish.
Oh, don't fucking do the bit for American Dad's sake. Don't do that for the American Dad fans in the audience. None of that shit.
Looking at what Ricky Spanish has done, it looks like he took a dump in an open chest cavity during surgery.
But also,
he set a kid's petting zoo on fire. Yep.
Keroro also very much complains about not being able to go out.
He can. He has disguises too.
No.
If Rogers work, Keroro's definitely will. When Steve ate the last cookie, he convinced him he was adopted. He's gonna do that as well. He's gonna do that. That's gonna happen. Yeah. He's run sweatshops. He run multiple sweatshops.
For all we know, I mean, she's been keeping secrets from them, so Fuyuki could just be adopted. We don't actually know that. You know,
When a new baby came into the picture, he tried to drown it.
Okay, but like you see, Kero's gonna go out and he's gonna get caught. He's gonna try and blow up the planet. He's gonna get shot up.
What's gonna happen? Because he was taken because they've swapped scenarios. So he was taken away from Area 51. So that dude is naked. He doesn't have his Carabol anymore.
I'd imagine it. Well,
I assume the government had taken it off him.
Yeah, well, why would they let him keep that?
Oh yeah, your
Wait,
planet's
did he
destroying
escape?
technology. We're just gonna let you hold on to that. It'd be too much of a hassle for us to take it off your hands.
Why would Stan let him recollect it?
Did he escape? Wait, so how does he get out then? Like, is it just he
How
escaped?
does-
I assume
How
that
did-
Stan like got Roger. Like he's just like you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't actually seen how it happens in American Dad.
I think this is one of those things where they tell you the backstory, but they don't actually show it. It's like, oh, he was at CIA, but we got him.
Okay.
Well, still to a degree, like he can still clearly, like, especially with since the whole platoon is there, they definitely can build machines that actually puts the world at threat. Like the whole. That's my initial problem.
That's true. That's true. But he has to wait for Kururu to show up for that to actually happen, and that takes a little bit.
Oh, actually, they show themselves to plenty of humans in the actual world, and the only reason that that they aren't given away is just because these humans happen to be willing to keep their secrets. I can definitely see this not happening in the American Dad universe.
The American Dad universe has Kermit the fucking Frog walking around. Why is Keroro?
Because aliens are still like a really like that. Roger.
But Keroro just looks like Kermit.
You know that
Kermit just
alien
he's related to
probably just
Kermit.
walks around in like a fucking Family Guy.
You think
skit or
Keroro is? You think?
I still stand by it. Roger wants to be a comedian, so does Keroro. The family don't laugh at Keroro's stuff. Roger's gonna try and kill them when they don't laugh at his thing. That happened in an episode.
Also, Roger has to be a piece of shit to them or else he dies. Like, he actually has to be a piece of shit or else he eventually dies.
Is that an actual thing?
Yeah,
He has to be.
There's an actual episode where, like, he starts being nice to people and slowly starts to die. And then he has
Well,
to
then
be a
fucking there we go.
Okay, so yeah, this scenario is just free for Keroro.
Yeah.
It's a free.
Yeah.
It's a free win for Keroro.
Oh no!
A better debate for Roger than I ever could have cooked up, though. Fair enough, but
But I was just relying that he could last long enough because I think that to a degree, at least for a little, Natsumi and Fuyuki would definitely pity that he has to be mean, and he has an actual excuse why he has to be mean. And
I think the issue is like the family member, that household is two nice people, but then there's just one who won't pity him and just kick his ass.
yeah, no, I did not bring up the mother for a lot of reasons.
Alright,
That one was free for Ollie, but now it's time to see if she can go for the two-piece.
She might be able to, because I'm actually kind of under-researching this one. So I'm actually asking if you debate first on this one, because I actually need to know a little more about the plants. We're doing the plants versus Jason Voorhees. And I can argue for Jason, but I need to know a little bit more. So,
What's the scenario?
Dr. Zomboss needs a new zombie, then sees a zombie wearing hockey, not just hockey. He knows his plan now to defeat the plants.
So it's basically just Jason versus the plants.
He acquired the plant. Yeah, Dr. Zomboss got Jason to go get the plants. And Jason,
But I'm assuming that Jason is going along with the alpha, like the zombie armada that the plants already have to fight.
I hope.
Yeah, I mean, it's under Zomboss,
Yeah,
so I don't see why not.
Yeah, Zomboss is doing. Yeah, okay, yes.
Okay.
So if you can help me out first, then go first.
Okay. So I'm not gonna lie, Max. I think that this is a very, very free win again. Plants vs Zombies is a far more out there and exaggerated universe compared to that of Jason's. Jason, the most outlandish stuff I've seen him do is short distance teleport, and that's about it. Meanwhile, the plants have several plants that could home in on him no matter where he teleported to. and have all bases covered, the front, back, and roof. So no matter what angle Jason approaches them from, they're going to be okay. Now to the real stuff. So, if Jason goes to the back garden, which I assume he would because that's the one with the pool, and Jason does tend to emerge from water, unless it's Freddy vs. Jason, where he's a little bitch and afraid of water. It's revealed in the Plants vs. Zombies comic books that Cattail not only have the ability to shoot thorns, but also have full control over water. So they could just shoot Jason out and send him back over the back gate. From there, the plants have a multitude of ways to deal with Jason. The Hypno Shroom could turn them to his side, could turn him to their side. They have several explosive plants that could probably just blow him up. The plants are perfectly mobile and experienced in war combat, and many of their forces, I think, are far more mobile and fast than Jason, especially Pichia, who has a dash. Sunflower can heal all of the troops. And they have a sun machine in the comics, which makes every single plant significantly stronger and more powerful than they were otherwise. On top of this is plant food, which can upgrade each and every plant. There's the Ice Shroom, which could freeze an entire army, which would include Jason. There's also the goated Iceberg Lettuce, who alone could freeze Jason.
Yum, 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 yum.
I know, I love Iceberg Lettuce.
Over here right now.
They could get him from the skies with the pumpkin plane that the Gatling P and 3 pilot. There's a Collie Power and Enchant Mint, which could also turn Jason to their side. There's Mint Mobile. There's Stalia, who can slow Jason down to half his speed. There's the Witch Hazel, which could turn Jason into a puff shroom. There's the Intensive Carrot, which could revive any plants that Jason destroys. There's the Time Warp, which can turn back time if things get bad. Yep, thanks for the tip.
I hate all of you.
There's Shrinking Violet, who could shrink Jason down to size. And finally, sorry.
You stuttered, you win, Max.
Yeah, you're right, fuck. I did have... Yeah, that's it. Crazy Dave's plant, Penny, not only has the ability to go back in time, but also is equipped with a function that blasted an entire zombie army and stuck them in an infinite time loop which they never escaped. So they could just shoot Jason and the entire zombie army and bam, they are immediately all disposed of.
Wait, what was that last point? Wait. What
Penny, Crazy Dave's van Penny could just shoot Jason and the entire zombie army and stick them in a time loop forever.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think
luck,
that the
Max.
plants win.
So,
Have fun.
Get him,
my
Max.
main point with Jason for this situation is just how truly unkillable he is, and how even if you do momentarily defeat him, he's gonna go for revenge no matter what. I don't think there's anything that permanently kills Jason because of his regeneration. He's had entire chunks of his body taken completely out and grown back in mere seconds. And even if you destroy his head or his heart, that doesn't stop him because his regeneration is explicitly stated in the novels to be an extension of his willpower, that raw willpower. So it's not even about, like, what part of his body is doing it. So he can, like, come back from anything that happens to him. Hypnosis, it seems decent enough, but Jason actually has his own hypnosis in the form of his heart, which hypnotized the doctor into fucking eating it, and then Jason started possessing everybody and shit. It was really weird and not well defined, but the doctor didn't do it of his own free will. Like, he wasn't hankering for a heart. It was clearly mind control from the supernatural Jason. And that's further into mental abilities. In the comics, Jason can create hallucinations of, like, mass, like, fucking a group of people that could kind of fuck with the plants, I would think. Make it seem like they're up against a much greater odds than they've ever been up against before. Make them lose a little bit more hope. And freezing Jason, that didn't really kill him either. And Jason actually gets frozen for a while, but just the second he's unthawed, he goes right back to normal. So once the ice melts, he's just back at it again. Explosions, like, yeah, the regeneration covers that. He'll just be fine, or at least, if we're talking about Jason Goes to Hell, the explosion did result in, like, his heart thing happening, and that just possesses people to eat him, and then he continues forth until he gets in the body of another Voorhees and continues his reign. I don't know if there's really a way for them to permanently kill Jason without using, like, the special dagger from Jason Goes to Hell that finally put him in hell and made it to where Freddy had to bring him back. So that's
Okay.
Don't know about the time loop though.
To be fair, a better argument than I was expecting. So
Yeah, I mean,
I'll jump on your side, Max. I'll jump on your side.
Okay.
99% of those plants are behind a paywall, so
that's true. Plants vs Zombies 2. Big fan of Plants vs Zombies 2.
One of the
the chomper, it's worth $3. Come on.
One of the main sticking points to me, the difference in their hypnosis with Jason is something has to eat his heart, and even then that's just one plant. Whereas if Jason touches a hypnoshroom, the effect kicks in, and he's
well, he has
doesn't
to
count as touching if he uses his machete to try to hack him up.
I mean, if it works on the does it work on like Genshwars when they flatten it?
No, because they flatten it with a telephone pole.
Right.
Exactly. But that's the thing. The zombies are not. They don't touch it and then take control. We see the eating animation, so they specifically have to take a bite out of it.
No, okay, but is the Hypnoshroom in Garden Warfare though?
No.
Another thing
Okay. Okay, so I don't think that any of the traditional plants can kill Jason permanently. I think that's true, but the fact that they could turn him into a puff shroom, or Rose, the Plant vs Zombies hero, could turn him into a goat.
That's true.
Or Crazy Dave himself could just stick him in a time loop.
Being a goat would stop Jason's murderous intent? He would murder so many people as a goat.
And besides, Jason is not a very good swimmer. So those water plants.
He's actually a fine
tangleweed
swimmer.
or whatever it is could just drag him underwater.
Okay,
he swam in Manhattan.
Is this guy like a swimmer?
Okay, here's the thing. So Jason is seen walking through the water. He doesn't choose to swim. And the plants cannot hit snorkelers because they're too low in the water.
That's untrue. The cabbage pults, the pult family can hurt snorkels.
No, they can't.
And spikeweeds can pull them under.
Yeah, I really think at a certain point there's nothing Jason can do against transmutation or time loops. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
The plants just have too much hacks, yeah.
Honestly, I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, there's
Plants vs Zombies 2 in particular is fucking ridiculous. There are so many plants. There's well over 100.
I forgot who did it, but I know that at least one of the plants was responsible for both freezing a water park and then unfreezing it. And that's just a huge rage thing, I think.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, I tried, Jason. I tried.
I'm also 90.
You honestly put forth more of an honest debate than I expected you to.
Yeah.
I love Jason. I had to try.
I think Jason would stand a pretty good chance if it was just Plants vs Zombies 1.
Yeah.
He'd clear PvZ 1. Yeah.
I think he'd beat PvZ 1.
I'll
PvZ 2 is just so
PvZ 2 is no fucking shot.
But alright, that was fun, guys. That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good time was had by all. I'm pooped.
Alright, we'll see you guys in the next Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.